2026, and you're listening to the Tech Addicts podcast. Brace yourself. On the show this week, Google bringing Gemini to Chromebook Plus laptops. The world's first 5-ton, 10-seater e-Volt helicopter droney type thing takes flight. Razer bring a new mouse that's got a stupid price tag. And have you heard of Openclaw? Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. I'm back with Ted, and it's going to be another rip-roaring Tech Addicts podcast for you to listen to. I'm your host, Gareth, and hello, Ted. How are you today?
I do apologise for last week where I was coming to you from a sick room somewhere. The week has been... I stopped feeling really shitty by about Wednesday into Thursday, but I've then got a chest infection, and... so I've still got that. I'm coughing, revolting stuff up. But actually I feel okay now, even though I've got a chest infection, and it's all a bit kind of on my chest. I don't feel unwell. So that was really great to get past that stage. I still don't understand how you can go for so long, 18 years in my case, and not have a cold. And then suddenly 18 years later you get one and a chest infection. I never get ill. Anyway,
okay, folks, I'd like you to remember this, and then next winter, whenever Ted gets sick, we can remind him of it, because I don't think he remembers being ill last year.
No, I certainly don't, because I wasn't. I did have COVID in 2022. I was really unwell with COVID, but I'm not counting that because every bugger got that. So. Thank you for your kind words, everyone, of support and sympathy. But I have now got over it, and I hope that I'll never get it again. Weather forecast from North Wales is mild and boring and nothing to report. Your turn.
All right. Weather forecast from just outside of Belfast. The sun is currently out, and I can see blue sky. However, I don't trust it because there was a huge rainstorm that lasted about an hour from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock this morning. And my wife was like, I have to go out now, as it was raining. And she had 2 umbrellas. It was that bad.
Where's she going to put the second one?
I don't know. She was just carrying it. And then she had the one from my car over her head. And was like, what? Why do you have 2? But she's got one of those inverted umbrellas, which I think is... Yeah, they kind of balloon up.
They catch the rain.
Yeah. So, yeah, she started using my golf umbrella instead, which she's away with. Oh, I'll never see that again.
Yeah.
Although she stopped using my OS2 Warp umbrella that I have sitting over there. I found it in the back of her car. I was like, no, don't you touch that. Oh, that's a... do you know what OS2 Warp is?
No.
Okay, all right. Some people who are listening are probably going to go, seriously? You have an OS2 Warp umbrella? It was an old operating system that came out in the early 90s, late 80s. It was going to it was by IBM. It was going to revolutionize the way we use computers.
All right.
It did for a bit for those who bought it. My brother bought it and got the free umbrella, so I've got the umbrella now. Hey. But anyway. All right. Well, there's plenty to talk about this week, and we'll go straight into the feedback because we got a comment on our last show from some gadget guy, the famous YouTuber. So it was nice to hear from you. Thanks very much. Tapping into the RAM crisis that we touched on last week, and he says, for the RAM and component news, the most frustrating aspect of it is the speculation. The manufacturing and pricing immediately flipped based on the announcements from the companies like OpenAI that they would scale up. A company super deep in the red generating no significant profits. Just saying they were going to buy up 40% of the RAM decimated the entire consumer market. There should be antitrust investigations. When it comes to mobile devices, we are seeing the first symptoms of component price hikes. Phones in 2025 were largely similar to phones from 2024, often with a handful of downgrades to individual components to balance the costs of more expensive system on chips. This year, phones are even more similar to the phones in 2025, and increasingly we're seeing even more price cuts to pieces, like totally flat screens or reducing the number of rear cameras. While we're still seeing price increases in a lot of regions, I'm confident this trend will continue. As a fashion trend, companies will continue to push super thin phones as a way to sell an expensive device with fewer features. Top quality comment there. Thank you very much, and it explains everything very, very simply for everyone to understand, rather than us floundering for 20 minutes trying to put that together quite so well.
I like Juan. He's such a good guy. He's such a nice guy, and he also when you watch his videos, he just deep dives, and what he says is kind of well thought out, or it appears to be to me. I really like his stuff.
Yes, no, I fully agree as well. His YouTube channel is a go-to and bookmark and notifications on type thing where I like, subscribe, and all that. Happy to do that. But yes, it comes down to what people are buying this year, and some people take advantage of this as well. I know I did, having seen what was arriving with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and things. I decided to go for last year's model, and I now have the Samsung Galaxy 26 Ultra is coming. The 25 Ultra, I picked that up because it's now a lot cheaper than it was, and it makes a more. I don't think the difference between the 25 and 26 particularly justifies the price increase. So I'm happy enough with the 25 with a better deal. And I know a lot of people do wait for that, and I think this is the time to buy last year's models.
Or the year before.
Would you? Well, yes, yeah, even the 24 as well. I know a lot of people are happy with that device too. I don't see the point in spending the big money on the 2026 models.
No. I think the plateau has certainly become a thing. And I'm very often using older phones that sometimes that are out of security updates, like some of my Sony phones. And I'm always going back to my Pixel Fold, the original generation Fold. That's not out of support, but the point is that it's not new, and you can buy a Pixel Fold original generation now for about 400 quid instead of the 2,000 quid it was when it came out. And it's perfectly good for like 99% of users. So I think that's the way it's going, and that's also why companies like like Google or whoever are trying to sell some of their software services much more aggressively now, like we've seen with the Gemini and the AI models, and that's where they're hoping that people will spend their money. Like I said on the show last week, I've now coughed up for the AI Plus model, and I'm giving them £7, £6.99 a month from next month, and I could easily go up to the £17.99 model to get the extra features. So these companies are shifting away from hardware because, support people don't need the newer phones. I'm agreeing with you.
Well, yeah, and I suppose there's a little bit of a word of warning for this time next year, whenever the likes of myself look to maybe refresh their phone again, is to remember that you skip the 2026 model because it's just that it's not that worthy of an update. So you have to be looking at what's coming ahead. And then will the likes of Samsung then adjust their prices, because there is going to be a decent enough leap from the 2026 to the 2027 if all this RAM crisis and all that is over and done with the, what is it called, shitification of services and of hardware as well, where you're kind of tied into an ecosystem. They can start making it lesser and lesser, and you get out of your maybe a 2-year contract or something, and you're looking to upgrade, you're maybe getting slightly less for your money. So you have to remember that whenever you're choosing your upgrade in the years to come, that there was a plateau, and the tech companies did react to it and make phones that weren't quite as good as what you might expect them to be.
And then they are focusing in on whatever new features they can possibly drum up, like the S26 Ultra, for example, with this hardware-based privacy screening, where you've probably seen the videos where you turn the phone just slightly and you can block out a view. Well, you can't get that on any other phone. You can't get it on your S25 Ultra. You've got to buy the new one. And so the point I'm making is that they still kind of tease around to try and find things that are exclusives. And Google do that with Pixel phones as well. There are still 2 things on the Pixel 10 that I can't get on my Pixel 9, and there's no reason at all why they couldn't be on there. And the same is true of the Pixel Fold. But they're just holding off features to try and get people to buy the newer devices. And they're going to continue to do that, I think, because otherwise, as we've just described, we're all going to use last year's and the years before's.
Well, yeah. Whenever you talk about the privacy screening thing there, you can actually buy screen protectors that do that off Amazon. Yeah. So I don't see why that has to be a hardware feature when it's just a screen protector, really. I know it might not be as good, but it's certainly cheaper than buying a new phone.
It's very clever the way they've implemented it, but yeah, point taken. There are always workarounds.
There is, yeah. Anyway, so the RAM crisis is still kind of ongoing. It's a bit scary. Ted, you've thrown in a couple of links here. Do you want to go over some of the points that maybe are raised by Tech Radar?
Yeah, Tech Radar are just musing on the fact that they found a 64 gigabyte stick of DDR5 RAM, which costs more than a MacBook Air. So, basically, 64 gigs of RAM for £1,000. That's what they're saying, and they're saying that memory prices have surged 300% in the last 6 months. And the other story was an observation from a creative thinking journalist who has said that there's another way, you don't need RAM. What you need is a 200 kilometre fibre optic cable which goes round in a loop. You send the data round in a loop, and you just keep it moving. And somehow, I don't fully understand the technicalities of it, but somehow, because of this loop of fibre optic, you don't need, for expensive AI modelling, you don't need to have fixed RAM in devices. Just use cables and send it off. But the obvious downside to that is that you need somewhere to stick 200 kilometres of cable. It was a bit of a fantasy thing, really, but it was quite interesting to think about.
Sounds a bit loopy to me. He's a data cable puller, and he works on building sites and things like that. And he said to me that you shouldn't really loop cables at all. Data doesn't travel well in circles.
Yeah.
And where you have your Ethernet cable, you should try and lay it out flat as much as possible.
Well, I think if you're talking about a 200 kilometre loop of cable, it's not going to be that bendy, is it?
Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant just it was like a 200 millimeter cable that was just looped, like a coil.
Oh, right, around your head, around your house.
Yeah, in the wall or something like that.
No, I don't think so. I think the theoretical model was that you make a a Halon collider type loop thingy somewhere around your town.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yes, certainly
Maybe
the.
thinking of heat pumps more so. Yeah. Water loops around and heats up.
So 64 gigabytes of RAM for £1,000 then.
Yeah. All right.
I s-
Well, Rob DeLorean Champ has written in on the uTag app. Ted, what did Rob have to say?
I was listening to Ted on the podcast last week and heard him say that he had some Samsung tags, Smart Tag 2, but because he hadn't got a Samsung phone any longer, no, that wasn't true. I do have a S24 Plus here. I think I probably said it wrong or you heard it wrong. But anyway, the point is that Rob goes on to say he used the web interface, but there is a third-party app. So I was saying that you can go on to sign into your Samsung account if you haven't got a Samsung phone and still be able to use your tags. But he says there is a third-party app that lets you natively control them as if it's on a non-Samsung phone and was actually a Samsung phone, if you follow. As if it was a Samsung phone, a non-Samsung, yeah. And the uTag app. Now, I haven't tried this, but he says it works, and I believe him. And it's open source as well, Rob says, so even better. So good stuff. Ever heard of that?
No, I haven't. I'm looking into it now. Not that I particularly need it because we're all Samsung in this household. But yeah, that's a good tip for anyone who's got an old one knocking about and they want to make use of it. Nice one. Thanks, Rob. Good one. Cool. All right. The news this week. We have some interesting stories. And we're going to start with the KeyGo Gen 2. This is a
Woohoo!
crowdfunding project offered, which is a portable device that combines a 13-inch touchscreen with a foldable keyboard. And it's designed to work with mini PCs and that sort of thing as a serve as an interface into that, where people have Linux servers or whatever, or some sort of server that they need to tap into. This can provide that dumb end to it. So it features a 13-inch touchscreen with improved resolution that compared to the predecessor's 12.8-inch 1920 by 720 display. It maintains a 60 hertz refresh rate. It supports a 10-finger multi-touch input and has built-in speakers too. It connects via two USB Type-C ports with USB PD power delivery and is recognized as a standard monitor without driver installation as well. There's some measurements there and it seems quite small, and it's available for $280 and shipping through Kickstarter at the end of May, I think it is. So it looks like a pretty good little option if you have some sort of need for it. Ted, I think you're probably going to have it hooked up to your Pixel tablet or something.
Whatever, yeah. Well, the point is that you don't need a screen, whatever you're using with. This article is plugging the fact that you can use it with a mini PC. But to me, it's just like a next dock, really. It's you've got a little screen on it. When you say it's 13 inches, just to be clear with people, it's 13 inches diameter. So it's letterbox shaped, the same size as the keyboard, and you can fold the thing down on the keyboard to transport it. And to be perfectly honest, I've got no need at all for one of these, but I really want one, and I would make a need for it. And if this was not on a Kickstarter and it was on sale already, I would probably buy one because I love this kind of whole gadget thing. Jim Fowle, one of our listeners, has got the first generation of this, and he uses it regularly and thinks it's great. The second generation, as you say, the specs have been slightly upped. And I just think it's a really lovely idea. It's I do wish I had the need for it. I wish I was on planes and trains and automobiles going about a hectic, busy business life to make the most of it, but I don't. And frankly, if I bought one, it would be for the toy value and the novelty value. But I do like toys and I do like novelties.
Yeah, I suppose there are a number of things that you can't sort of remote access into that this kind of thing would be quite nice to be able to plug into. You've got Pi Raspberry Pis around the house,
Yeah.
or mini PCs, or those sorts of things that you need to just plug it and see what's going on with it.
Indeed.
If your network's down or something like that, and you can't actually SSH into it. So yeah, it's a useful device, but I can't say that I would get much use out of it. I've never thought, oh, wish I had one of those. And I did have a NexDock years ago and used it sparingly, and got rid of it in the end.
Yeah, totally. I do agree with you. I just love the whole gadget thing because we're tech addicts. Come on.
Yeah, but we're realists now as well. I've got kids and a mortgage, so I can't just go out and squander my money on stuff like this.
No.
Yeah. Speaking of squandering your money, Chromebooks. Yeah, so they're bringing Gemini AI to Chromebook Plus laptops. Officially, Google has launched Gemini in Chrome for Chromebook Pluses. It's rolling out to Chromebook Pluses in the US only, starting around about January 28th. So that was 3 weeks ago almost, with extended rollouts to over the next several weeks. The features previously exclusive to desktop platforms, skipping out Google's own Chrome OS up until now. Chromebook Plus restriction aligns with Google's strategy of using AI features to differentiate premium Chromebooks from standard models. Don't you just love that? Ted, have you got this on your Chromebook Plus yet? Or no, you're not in the US.
I haven't. No, we were talking about this on the last show, weren't we? And we were concerned about the fact that Chromebook Pluses are still being sold, and yet they're nominating 2034 to basically ditch Chrome OS and bring in aluminium. And we were saying on the last show that the difference between the Chromebook Plus and the non-Plus is access to all these AI features. So it is interesting that they've brought this into Chrome, onto Chromebooks, but you've got to have a Plus model to get it, because they reckon that the hardware of non-Plus models will not make it a good experience, shall we say, on basic Chromebooks, which I disagree with, because some non-Plus Chromebooks are actually very powerful, like my original Pixel book I've got here. So I think it's an excuse, really. But yes, it is also another America-only thing for now. I haven't got Gemini in my browser on Chrome at all on Windows. So, more of Google locking stuff into America.
Yeah, the buggers. Well, I think other browsers have other options. If you're using a different browser, I think Brave has one, and Edge has Copilot. So it doesn't, and I think they're free for people to use a good bit. It would be preferable for Google to do it on Chrome, which is sitting there on the platform, and it's the main point of the platform.
Well, they are, but obviously Chrome is so widely used on so many different devices as the world's #1 browser that I suppose it's taken them longer, and they're pushing it out to America only, I guess, in order to pick up on bugs and problems with it before they let everyone else get it. So you can see what they're up to, but
I can never tell what Google's up to. They're weirdos. Handsomely now. Handsomely.
Oh dear, sorry.
You're right. So next up is Google's detected and blocked a large-scale attack where malicious actors sent over 100,000 prompts to its Gemini AI in an attempt to clone the model and steal its intellectual property. The attackers used a distillation attack method, reportedly querying Gemini to analyze responses and extract internal reasoning patterns. This attacking campaign involved more than 100,000 prompts, using varied questions, and languages to map the AI responses. Ted, was this you?
It wasn't me that did it, but my thought with this is that presumably people have written software in order to do this, because they're not going to sit there and type in 100,000 prompts. So they've also got some AI creating all those prompts in order to actually make this thing happen. But yeah, it's more of the same really as intellectual property, and Google say that they blocked it before it started, basically, and they knew what was going on, and they've identified the attacker. They've identified the attackers, but they've declined to tell us who they are. So that probably means it's China, and yeah, I'm sure this goes on a lot, and probably it doesn't make the headlines very often, where people are just trying to nick each other's models and algorithms. We saw the same thing with TikTok, didn't we? When all the hoo-ha was going on with TikTok, they were so fiercely protective of their algorithm models. And people were trying to hack in and find out what the model was. And I don't think they ever did. Well, we haven't been told they did. Anyway, I'm waffling now. Back to you.
No, you're all right. I don't believe it. I think it's one of those advertising pieces for Google, and because they saw it coming, they knew it was coming. 100,000 prompts coming over the tundra, like the Vikings to invade Google's Gemini. They knew it was coming. That's too dodgy, and because their security is so damn good, they managed to thwart them with a toothpick. No, I have problems with this. I don't necessarily believe this is true. And we're not going to name the attackers because that would be difficult, because there weren't any. No.
I know. Do you know? It's interesting because I know I'm such a Google apologist and fan. I didn't for 1 minute think that it might not be true.
Oh, they'll probably say something. The attacker was called Moogle or Woogle with a typo.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so right, the next one is quite something. So the Fang Fei Aviation Technology Company has successfully completed the first transition flight of its V5000 Skydragon, which is a 5-ton, 10-passenger electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, which is actually titled the eVTOL. It marks a significant leap into electric aviation. The V5000 is designed as a skybus rather than a traditional air taxi, and it features a stacked boom and multi-rotor architecture for enhanced redundancy and efficiency.
Wow.
I told my wife I can do that too. And she just went weak at the knees. It achieved stable transition flight for a vertical takeoff to fixed wing cruise and back, demonstrating advanced flight control systems capable of managing up to 20 motors. The aircraft offers 250 kilometers range, and it's purely electric, and it extends to it can extend up to 1,500 kilometers with the hybrid variant, which enables regional transport and cargo operations. I'm going to stop reading this now. Ted, what do you think of this? It's a big helicopter-y drone type thing. What do you like about it?
That's what I was going to say. What it is basically is a giant drone, isn't it? It's got 4 up-facing propellers on each of the long shafts. And that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. There's 22 up-facing propellers, which is allowing it to take off and vertically. But it's also got, you see at the back there, what you would think with an aeroplane, you have the tail going upwards. They've got the tail going downwards. So if it's moving forward like an aeroplane, that's changed the kind of aerodynamics of what's going on with that, I suppose. But yeah, it's a giant drone, isn't it? That's what it is. And I didn't realise until you said just now that it was all electric as well. So a giant drone that you can use as a taxi, and presumably initially this will be servicing places that are, short, hot places to get to, and I don't know. It's just fascinating though, and the machine itself looks amazing. It looks really complicated and expensive to build, I would imagine, but maybe I'm wrong. Don't know.
Expensive to insure too. Then, I'm interested in the hybrid version because I want to know, does it run on regular diesel or is it petrol or what goes on?
You said
there?
electric, didn't you?
Well, no, there is an electric and there's the hybrid variant. That
Oh right, okay.
It offers a 250-kilometer range in electric mode with up to 1,500 kilometers with the hybrid powertrain,
okay,
enabling regional transport.
Ah,
That's kind of funny. You're going to have this brrr past or whatever. It's basically a helicopter then with a battery in it.
yeah.
But yes, it does look suitably impressive, and it is huge. You don't quite get the scale of it from the initial image of it in the sky, and you're thinking, how does that hold cargo? But whenever you see someone standing beside it, you're like, oh, right, okay, that looks like a plane with a lighter wingspan.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's just a really interesting project, I think. I'd love to see one flying. That'd be great.
Yeah, you probably will one day.
If I live
Doing
that
your
long.
Amazon deliveries.
Yeah, Amazon drones, yes.
Well, I'm going to drone on about Razer's first gaming mouse, which is coming back with a pretty hefty price tag to it. Forget the RAM markup. Mice are not in the gaming fire. Mouses, sorry, because it's computer mouses, because the plural of computer mouse is mouses. The plural of the little creatures that live in the walls of your house are mice.
I thought they were Mises.
That's not confusing.
I hate those Mises to pieces.
Could be. I'll check that in the Urban Dictionary. Have you been watching Daffy Duck again?
No, so where's that one come from? I hate you, Mises to pieces. That was from. Well, it's one of those cartoon characters. I hate you, Mises to pieces. Sorry, carry on.
Well, it's not Tom and Jerry because they're silent, so it's got to be something else, like Speedy Gonzales, maybe.
Yes,
Homer
maybe
Fudd.
it is. Maybe it's Speedy Gonzales and Sylvester. Oh yes, it is. It's Sylvester, isn't it? Sylvester the cat after the. Sorry, back to you.
No, you're okay. That's who I was meaning whenever I went for Daffy Duck. Sylvester the Cat. That's who I pictured.
Right.
Sorry, we're not going to do that. Right, Razer is relaunching its first gaming mouse, the Boom Slang. And this is a limited edition 20th anniversary model that is priced at, I think this is a bit of a cheeky thing, $1,337 or 1337. A nod to the elite speak for elite. This
A nod
is
to the
a
what?
reimagined. The elite speak 1337 is elite.
What's I don't know. You've lost me. Elite.
Google it. We're not getting into it right now.
Okay.
The reimagined mouse features modern specs, including a Focused Pro 45K sensor with 45,000 DPI, 8,000 hertz wireless polling, and a fourth generation optical switches rated for 100 million clicks. That should get Ted through a few days of Pornhub. It retains the original ambidextrous snakehead design with a transparent shell, 9-zone RGB lighting, and PU leather covered buttons. I'm not going to read any further because this is £1,000 mouse. Who is going to purchase this?
Someone that wants to put it on a shelf, because Razer's positioning, it says at the end of this article, is that this is a showpiece for collectors who remember the original, not a practical gaming mouse for competitive play. The company even mentioned you'll need to clean it after each use if you want it to last. So it's basically a collector's item, isn't it? Which is 1337 is an internet slang meaning elite to describe superior skill in hacking, gaming, and online. Never heard of it. 1980, well, that fits for you, doesn't it?
Yeah. I knew it was a thing, but I couldn't exactly tell you what it was, and I didn't want to make a fool of myself, more so than I normally do. So the people who are going to buy this are people who have affection for the original Razer mouse, but also have $1,000 to burn.
No,
So
that's
it's
£1,000
quite
quid.
a niche little area. Well, $1,300 to burn.
Yeah.
And I don't see any word that it's actually shipping outside of the US at the moment.
Ah.
Oh no, sorry, it will be produced worldwide.
Ah.
Okay.
It does look neat, I must admit. I do like the way that Razer do that that hub that the charging hub, like a cradle. I don't know if other manufacturers of Mises do that, but I do like the way that they do that, and I've never had one.
Well, why bother making it functional then? Why not just make a statue or something to it?
Yes.
You have to wipe it down after every use. That's not fun.
Yeah, it's for your
There are
shelf.
certain people who have to wipe down their computer after every. Oh no, I'm not going to go.
You've got a room full of stuff that's just sitting on shelves because you like to look at it, haven't you?
Well, kind of, yes, I suppose, but not stuff that I paid £1,000 for.
No, that's true.
Yeah, there's nothing here that's worth £1,000.
Okay. Then you're
But
special.
I'll charge anyone £1,000 if they want any of it. So yeah, okay. Right, slightly more believable and exciting news. The NexPhone, NexPhone. This is a multi-OS device that was due to launch 14 years ago, but didn't. But it's finally it's going to see the light of day. It was announced in 2012 and available for pre-order. Aims were to fulfill the long-delayed vision of the company running Android 16, Debian Linux, and Windows 11 on a single device. This is designed by Nex Computers, NEX Computer. The phone uses a Qualcomm QCM6490 processor to support all three operating systems, and it's enabling it to function as a desktop PC when connected to a monitor via USB Type-C. It offers a unique dual boot experience. I would argue tri-boot would probably be more useful, which allows the user to switch between Debian and Windows 11 with a custom grid UI for Windows on the phone itself. It's priced, now get this, it's priced at only $550, which is pretty darn good considering the application of it, and it's positioned as a secondary or rugged device. With early buyers available to secure it through deposit for a future delivery. This is quite an exciting device. It's got 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and a 6.5-inch 1080 by 2403 LCD display. And there's a 64 megapixel camera on the back. It includes a USB Type-C cable for desktop mode and a free USB Type-C dock if you go for the early deposit. It's expected to be delivered in late 2026 with a $200 refundable deposit available. And there are links in the show notes if you want to find out more about it. Ted, would you be excited about something like this?
I refuse to talk about it because we'll get letters, because we covered this on PSC and it's very phone centric. And the last time we did this, we got a letter from, I can't remember who it was now, so We don't want you talking about phones on Tech Addicts, particularly if you've already covered them on PSE, which in this case we have. All joking aside, though, if you want a deeper dive on a discussion about this, listen to the last PSC show, because we did that and we concluded that it looks really interesting and we all wanted one. And we thought that it was a smashing idea. We couldn't understand why, particularly, it was dual boot into two of the operating systems, but separately into the other one because it's Windows. But then I think we backed down and said, yeah, that seems fair enough. So if you want to use it in Windows mode, you've got to turn the phone off and back on again and boot it into Windows mode. But if you want to use it on Android or Linux, you can actually do that on the fly. Yeah, and all the rest of it, as much as you've said, really, that it's a rugged phone and it's reasonably priced, it would seem, and it's a nice size, and we've yet to see how it'll work. Well, one thing that we weren't very clear about when we spoke about it was whether when it's in Windows 11 mode, you can actually use it as a phone. The data didn't seem very clear about that at all.
Oh yeah.
So, and I don't think we still know that, frankly. This is a long way from being in people's hands, as you said just now. But good for Next Dock, NexPhone, NexPad, Next everything. We like the Next company.
Right. I do apologise. I must have missed that episode of Phone Show.
Don't pretend
right,
you listen. No other bugger does.
No, I do. I didn't hear it. I'm not as good at listening to podcasts as I used to be because I don't have as long of a commute anymore. But yeah, I must have missed it. I'll go back and check it out. Thank you for letting me know that, and I'll stick a link to it in the show notes for anyone who is like me and didn't do it. Right. So then moving into banters, where we can have a wee bant for a while.
Oh, we like a bant, don't we?
Yeah. So, what are you going with today, Ted?
Oh, just a bit of feedback on the Linux Mint 22.3, which I said I couldn't get on my laptop, but I could get it. When I asked Gemma how to get it, she showed me. And, of course, it's not very straightforward, like most things with Linux. But anyway, I got it on there, and I started to explore it, and I could see that the desktop, that the menu system was tweaked and different and reworked, and you could move stuff around, and you could, what have you. But I'll put a link in the show notes to the What's New page, which describes what's new, and to be honest, most of it, as you'd expect, is kind of geeky, nerdy, under the bonnet changes. And when I was reading it, frankly, I couldn't understand half of it. I'm sure you would, but I thought these terms mean nothing to me, and you just I'm far too much of a normie to be able to understand properly. I think, but. Yeah, interesting to see it with those changes that I could appreciate. But more importantly to me was that I have now started to transition my Microsoft Publisher data across to LibreOffice Draw ahead of Microsoft pulling the plug in October. I started off, I think I mentioned before, about Affinity Publisher, which I have got and I own, and I started to try and do it on there, but it was just a bit. It was like too nerdy and geeky again, and I want a what you see is what you get tool. So I put LibreOffice Draw up, and one of the things I didn't realise is that you can import directly a high-resolution PDF into it. So when I publish my 24-page magazine, for the printers, I make it into a very high resolution PDF, and I didn't realise that with LibreOffice Draw I can just open that file in LibreOffice Draw and it will open it intelligently, smartly, high resolution. It will take the images and the text, and it knows what they are, and it works with them intelligently, and it worked really well. So I was able to import that. I can't import a .pub file into Affinity Publisher. I can with LibreOffice Draw, except that the PDF method just seems to work better. The resulting data is just more high resolution and better. So I'm sticking with the LCD. So I'm not convinced that I will ever fully go Linux Mint like you have, but what the point about using LibreOffice Draw is that if I want to, I can swap and change between them, and it kind of takes away yet another obstacle from the of sticking with Windows, and as for that Microsoft 365 subscription, which apparently is going up to £200 next renewal, 200 plus, exactly £200 plus. Well, they can go and eat shit on that, I think, because frankly, LibreOffice it does pretty much. Now that I've got this publisher thing done, I can't see why I would need Microsoft 365 except to get the Teams call over an hour, which is one of the problems we've had with podcasting, is that because I've got this Microsoft 365 subscription, when we do a Teams call and I initiate it, we seem to get as long as we want. Whereas if someone else, Steve Litchfield did this, and I tried it with you as well, because you don't have that, it cuts it off after about an hour, or if they're too busy, they cut it off. Anyway, so that's one little hurdle we'll need to get by in terms of podcasting. But anyway, my feedback was I have got the new version of Linux Mint now, and because I'm using LibreOffice Draw, I should actually be more likely to actually use Linux Mint going forward.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't think a lot of the Linux Mint updates in 22.3 are kind of under the hood for the nerdy geeky people who get the most out of it. Whereas you and I tend to just be using it as an alternative operating system with a good interface. Mm-hmm. I'm quite happy with everything just going sort of beyond me on that effect, on that straight. But the bringing forward the whole update to the look and feel of it, it really makes a big difference, because I think aside from Zorin, Linux Mint is by far and away the best looking incarnation of Linux. I know Pop is quite nice, and you can do a few things like install KDE or whatever on it to make it quite nice. But I quite like the way Cinnamon and Linux Mint work together. But I've never really needed to dabble that much under the hood. I know I used to, but when things start going wrong and you have to restore things, it just becomes a bit of a pain in the derriere after a while. And now I suppose I spend less time at my computer, so I'm not using it for those sorts of things as often, and it's more a productivity tool now, or gaming, for which it works better. But I'm glad you're seeing success with moving over to LibreOffice Draw. It is a good solution, and there still are some other ones. I have a fella in work who mentioned that he now uses PowerPoint instead of Publisher for putting together newsletters and stuff like that.
Wow.
You turn it to vertical and make it an A4 shaped a setup, and then edit it that way, and there's an awful lot of cool interactions you can make with it and stuff, and then you just print all the slides out. Oh, right, okay, well, that's interesting. And the bonus is you have a presentation if you need it at the end of it. But,
I wonder what the printer would think of that. Because you'd have to
print the presentation slides.
You'd have to, yeah, but this is a 24-page A4 magazine, and they've all got to kind of work in a kind of publishing type, commercial press type way. I don't know. Anyway, it's an interesting thing to consider. But I don't care, because I've got LibreOffice, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, and it's free. Oh,
yeah.
Free. Yeah.
It is free. They do ask for contributions.
But I have remembered telling you in December that I was going to look into an alternative for Teams for recording the show,
Yeah.
and I promptly forgot.
Uh,
So I'll have to do that. If anyone has any ideas or suggestions, I did look into Jitsi at one stage, but we tried it and there was an issue with it, wasn't there? I think I
there
found it difficult to
was.
record or something like that.
Yeah, they're all the ones we tried last year all seemed to have something that didn't quite work. And then don't forget that that's all right for you and I if we find a solution, but it also needs to be for me a solution that other
Yeah.
people, occasional guests on PSC, are going to be able to do as well without training everyone to do something. Yeah, it is an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Maybe just use meat or something. Who knows? There was some problem with that, wasn't there? Well, let's not get into it. I'm sure the listeners don't want to hear us rabbit on about all these. Maybe we could have an orchestrated discussion at a later date.
Okay then.
Okay, moving into... Oh no, I wanted to mention Openclaw, which I started watching some videos on last night because I've heard some things people have mentioned about it, and I thought, what is this thing? And essentially this works as... It's an agent for AI, and it's like a layer in between you and your AI interface that can do stuff for you. It's like an assistant that you can ask it to do stuff via a text messaging client like WhatsApp or whatever, or Signal or Telegram, and it can go to your AI model and put stuff into it and then report back to you. But crucially, it does things more so with maybe a computer that you have at home. So if you were to set up or dare you use your main desktop and install it there, which everybody recommends you don't do that because of just how intertwined this gets into all your stuff. If you have a desktop environment that you're running this on, you can ask it to do something, and you can visually watch it do that on your computer like there's someone operating your computer. One of the videos I watched last night was the guy asked Openclaw, or Claude I think it's called, to, this is CLAW, asked it to find potential podcast guests, and he remote accessed into his computer, and he saw his computer open up a web browser and do a few searches for potential guests under a particular topic, and then it collated the information, gave LinkedIn details, email addresses, websites and stuff like that, and reported back to the person of who would be a good podcast guest for a particular upcoming podcast. And I thought that's quite impressive. And I started watching a few more videos as to what people use Openclaw to do. And the more you look at it, you realize that this is, those little random tasks that you end up doing on a computer could be done by Openclaw. Where you're maybe trying to find something or sort something out or enter stuff into diaries. It's quite, right now it's quite difficult for me to think of a few examples because I haven't used it. But there are just as many warnings about how integrated this gets into your computer, because it needs sort of a system-wide access. Now, you can openly host it yourself, which is what people recommend you do rather than using something online, or you can hire a virtual desktop environment to run there as well. So it's a little assistant that can publish things. He ran through some of the applications that he used it for, and whenever he creates a YouTube video, the promotion and all that kind of stuff and the socials, he lets that do it for him, where he's able just to say, I've published this video, can you promote it? And it goes and does it all, and he's given it the keys to his Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, and it goes and it takes screenshots, it breaks down text and gives you an analysis of all the information that they're discussed on, transcripts and those sorts of things, and post those to the relevant places that will maximize the spread of it. And he's able to do that from one text in WhatsApp. Now that sounds excellent for anyone who's looking to really automate their lives and have a proper digital assistant. Because at present you can't do that with Gemini. You have to go to Gemini and ask it to do everything individually. And then you can open up a conversation. But Openclaw has the biggest learning potential from this as well, where it will watch what you've done, and then it can proactively do stuff. Like if you've asked it on a Saturday to do that for your video that you've just posted, the next week it could go, oh, you've posted another one, I'll go and do all that for you. And if it gets something wrong, you tell it that it's got something wrong, and it won't do that again. It'll learn from that. But it'll proactively look to see what you're doing next. You can give it your calendar, and it can see that you've gone to a meeting, and it can dress up those minutes from the meeting or whatever kinds of things that you've pulled out of the meeting. Or if you're sitting in the meeting, you can ask it to do an analysis of something and send you that to your phone, and then you can present it at the meeting. There's an awful lot of exciting things that's happening here, but it comes with dire warnings about don't give it all access straight away. Know what you're doing before you give it access to, say, your Google account or whatever, to be able to do stuff like that. But it gives you a bit of an insight into the future of computing. And I'm leaving it this late in the podcast to talk about it because I don't want too many people running out and going, oh, this is going to revolutionize my life. Because it can ramp up to be quite expensive quite early on, because you have to buy credits in order for it to do stuff. And he showed how much that he'd spent in the process of doing a number of different tasks over the weekend, and he clocked up $100 from just the examples that he was showing us. But it's a very exciting way for you to, take full use of an AI client that maybe you're already paying for and not getting the most out of. Have you ever heard of Openclaw or Claude, C-L-A-W-D, or C-L-A-U-D-E at all?
I've heard of Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E, but this is Openclaw, as in C-L-A-W. And no, I've never heard of this. It's a GitHub. They hold the data on GitHub by the looks of it. And I assumed, until right at the end of your speech there, I assumed it was free and open source. But then you said you've got to buy tokens. So I don't quite understand how it can be open source and you've got to pay for it.
Well, I think it's the bit that really confused me, and the bit that's why I'm not really going too much into it, because I haven't done full research into it. It was only last night at about 11:30 I came across a video and was like, oh, that's interesting.
Right. Okay.
But it might be worth a bit of a conversation. You can choose what model you work from, and there is another. I've forgotten. It begins with an A, but there's another format of this, and the two work together, and they came up with having Openclaw, which allows them both to have the same kind of access from the user. So you've got Claude, and then this other one that's name eludes me right now, and I can't seem to find it on their website. But Openclaw became like an open standard for the two of them to work together, because there's all kinds of different integrations that you can do. And having a look through the integrations, there's an awful lot. And if you're a programmer or some sort of data manipulator in some way, this could really be handy for you. But you've got to know what you're doing before you move into it. And I'm wondering if any of our listeners are using it, or if they've come across it in the past, and what they may have played with, or the horror stories that they can tell where they've gone in and thought, I'm going to do this, and end up messing everything up across the world and causing disease and famine in small countries.
It looks a fascinating project, but like you say, we would need to do a bit of a dive into the ins and outs of it, wouldn't we? It's good to have flagged it up though, and we can certainly put it on the agenda going forward to find out more.
Yeah, I'll try and do a wee bit more on it and see where I end up next week, because there is Claude Code, I think, which is maybe a free way of hosting it. I don't know. I don't want to say that out loud in case people go and run off and try that, and it's not, and they end up incurring a huge amount of expenses or whatever. That's one thing that I noticed from my limited, tired research last night.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. No. It's good. It's on the agenda. We'll come back to it.
Yeah. All right. Bargain basement for cheap things.
Oh yeah.
You can start.
I've got a bit of a U-green week this week. All of my items are U-green. We do like U-green, second only to Anchor. And this first one is a ergonomic wireless mouse. It wouldn't suit me because it hasn't got a continuous scroll wheel. But taking into account what you were saying last week about your upright ergonomic mouse, I thought this would be worth a look. And this one is £12.99. So I suppose it might be crap, but for anyone that wants to try out the upright mouse, £12.99 reduced from 20 is probably not a bad. In fact, if you want the USB version, it's £11.99. So a bit of a bargain.
Wow, 12-month battery, a 4 adjustable DPI, 4,000, 2,000, 1,600 and 1,000 with silent 6-button setup. 6 buttons? What are the 6 buttons? You rarely get a Bluetooth mouse that has a back and a forward button on it, so that's quite interesting right off the bat. I wonder if it's compatible with Android then.
I can't see the 6th button. I can see 5, but not 6. Oh, unless the wheel is the 6th.
It.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they might be counting the DPI switcher. No, the sync button underneath or something like that. Anyway, I'll add it to my basket. I'll maybe pick one of these up and have a play with it and see if I can get anything. Because I'm looking at a wireless DeX setup in case I disappear off again for a vacation or a holiday.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, nice. I'll hold on to that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next up is something that I was looking for the potential that I might disappear off again. This is the BenFei, BenFei. This is a USB-C to HDMI, 4K 60 hertz, 10 gigabyte per second USB-A dongle device that you can plug into the side of your laptop or your phone, with 1,000-watt power delivery. That
1,000 watt.
Keyring. Sorry, 100 watt. Sorry, saying too many zeros. But it's a key ring, and you can keep it on your keys.
Oh, yeah.
So you can plug it into the bottom of your phone and then charge your phone through it and have a USB-A on the side of it and a 4K HDMI out on the other side of it and hook it up to your monitor, TV, or whatever you happen to be using and charge it at the same time. This is £6.95. 85. £6.85. Which
Very
is
cute.
Insane. I really like this. I want one of these too. You can plug it into your laptop and just hook it up to a screen or whatever you need to as you go. But £6.85.
What's that thing in the bottom right-hand corner on the first picture with what looks like a couple of elastic bands round a loop or something? Do you know? Is that something that?
I think it's a lanyard point.
But you've got a keyring thingy on it, haven't you?
Well, if you look at the third, is it the third? Yeah, the third image down.
Yeah.
You can see that it is just a loop that you can hang something from. So
Right.
The first one shows a metal ring that you might. Oh no, the metal ring is coming round from that. Gotcha. Right.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've got you. Okay.
So it's a lanyard point.
Yeah.
Right.
Very, very cute.
It is. I think
£6.85.
That's great value. I'm getting one.
Okay. I'm back on Ugreen with the Fine Track Duo 4 pack. So this is what appears to be a pack of trackers, which they say works on iOS and Android, but I'm not quite sure how they work that out. They say it does, so we'll believe them. It works with Apple Find My and Google's Find Hub, basically they're trackers. I don't know how well they work, but they are reduced from 45 quid to 30. And if they work across multiple platforms, and that I think is unusual and worth a look. I got a feeling that someone in our group actually highlighted these a while ago, and they said they'd used them, and they did what they said they were supposed to do. So, but yeah, they look very smart and interesting for anyone that goes travelling and wants to chuck stuff in their bag, and then the next week switch from iOS to Android. They'll still work.
Yeah, yeah, and it's got the beepy beepy thing as well, so you can find it by pushing a button, and it'll emit a noise and attract you to it.
Yeah.
Anti-loss alerts, and it says key left behind if you walk away from your key. Right. Okay.
Very exciting.
Nice.
Very, very exciting.
Yeah. I wonder if that works with Rob's suggestion from earlier on the show, the uTag app. Probably does.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't actually pick up because I realised that I have one is the INIU USB Type-C to HDMI adapter. This is a 4K 60Hz HDMI to USB Type-C adapter. And this, just plug it in to your phone or whatever, and you can hook it up to a monitor via HDMI. They're dead handy, especially with the likes of decks and things like that, and various different computer options available to users to expand and have multi-screens and things like that for whatever devices they happen to be using it for. Plug it into your laptop and have a second screen with a random screen. Yeah. Dead handy, down to £9.49 from £12. And it's got a nice braided cable. There's a wee light on it to let you know that it's working. It promises that it doesn't flicker or have a black screen or drop signal at any point. So I quite like this. And I do like the brand INIU, INIU, because I spelt it twice there for you. I have a couple of their things, and I think that they're one of the up-and-coming Ugreen, Anchor, Aukey type companies that are producing interesting devices. Not that this is particularly interesting, but it's a nicely refined version of what's already there.
Yes, I agree about INIU. I've got a few INIU things as well, and they all are very, very good. This particular adapter looks very robust and really nicely made with that braided cable, although promotional photos are always going to do that, I suppose. But I would have confidence that it does look very good. I got one of these made by Samsung, a genuine Samsung one, and it wasn't as cheap as £9.49. It was more expensive, but the point is that this one looks as though it's as well made as the Samsung one. So yeah, good shout.
I think mine's actually made by Ugreen. I can't see it at the moment because it's down behind my work laptop, but yeah.
Talking of Ugreen, I'm back on the trail with the AC. Right, okay, let's get this right. You get adapter, a four-pack adapter of male USB-C to female USB-A, and a female USB-C to a male USB-A. And you get in this pack you get 4 of these, and they are just USB 3.2 compliant, Thunderbolt, all the rest of it. So I've got some of these from years gone by, and the speed at which they work is so crap they're just almost unusable. But these ones they've brought up to speed, and they've obviously got a chip inside the things that make it work properly. And £7.98 for a pack of four. Chuck one in each bag, and one on your desktop, and you will never be short of them. Sometimes I need one of these. Not It's becoming less needful as time goes on. But have you seen the pricing here? Amazon pricing: a 4 pack for £7.98, or a 2 pack for £10.96.
Quality. Although the
Yes.
2-pack does have little lanyard bits as well.
Okay.
The 4-pack doesn't. So that justifies the extra £3 and less of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
No, they're good. I have a couple of these, not Ugreen, but I use them on the PlayStation, and you can plug them in the USB-A, and then because USB-A to USB-C cables are becoming harder to find these days around the house. They're all USB-C to USB-C, so
Yeah,
this
yeah.
eliminates that for charging the PlayStation controller. All right, I'm going to go with Ugreen this time because
What?
and I'm sorely tempted to grab one of these because I love my NAS. I do, and I want another one because it's one of those things. It opened up such a wild world for me, and I've always been curious about the Ugreen NASs because I've watched a few reviews of them and they look really good because my Synology has caveats and things that they announce annoy me. But on sale right now, down to £465.78, is a hard diskless Ugreen NAS sync, which is the DXP 4800 Plus. This is a 4-bay NAS with a 2 meter long Cat 8 cable because they're always useful. And it's got an Intel Pentium 8505 5-core processor inside of it, 8 gigabytes of DDR5, which I believe is upgradable yourself if you happen to need to do that. It's got 128 gigabytes of SSD inside of it, which you can upgrade as well. But crucially, and this is a big thing that attracted me, is it has 10 gigabyte Ethernet and 2.5 gigabyte Ethernet built into it as well, which is a big thing that, I don't know how much it cost me to get that put into my Synology, and I'm still using it in a roundabout way with a bit of driver manipulation in the USB because my Synology didn't come with 2.5 or 10 gigabyte. And the adapter dongle costs half as much as this does. So it also has space for two M.2 NVMe's inside of it, which is, I think it's becoming somewhat standard for most NASs to have that, and for cache purposes. And it's got 4K HDMI, 40 gigabit per second, 2000 megahertz out RJ45. So this is it's a NAS. Simple as that. And it's made by Ugreen, so I think it's probably going to be an interesting, decent build quality that people could really get into. I love my NAS as it stands, and I would love to try something like this. I know the software that comes on this isn't quite up to snuff whenever it comes to Synology, but Ugreen seem to be very, very dedicated in making it high quality software soon. If not already, to be honest, because I haven't looked at it in a wee while, but it could be top-notch stuff by now, as they put in all their own software solutions for you to get the most out of your network-attached storage. Ted, have you ever heard of these?
I was just reflecting that I think I'm 10 years behind you on all this stuff. You've just about hooked me into the whole Linux Mint thing, and I'm trying hard with that. And I'm thinking to myself, you're always banging on about NAS, and I suppose this is going to be the next thing down the line. So right, eventually you'll talk me into to thinking that I need a NAS. And to be honest, I don't really know enough about it to even intelligently comment about it. But it says that these are diskless, which means presumably when you buy this thing for 465 quid, you've then got to go and buy the discs to put in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The cost of a NAS spirals wildly, and I found that straight away. I bought a 4-bay NAS and shoved in an 18 terabyte drive, and then went, right, what's next? I need to get another one, and I couldn't afford another 18
Right.
terabyte, so I shoved in a 14 terabyte one, because I was just able to go and get what I could and gradually slide them in. And using Synology's own RAID configuration, as long as it's smaller than the one before, isn't that right? Smaller than the one before, you can slot more drives in. I'm not sure about Ugreen if they offer the same thing. Now you mention it, actually, I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, a NAS is a very expensive hobby, but it opens up so much, and it self-hosting suddenly became a thing for me with Synology, and before I knew it, I was buying another computer so that I could have a dedicated self-hosting thing. So it opened up that avenue to play with. So loads of good stuff to happen there.
Okay. Maybe one day I will look into that and
Yeah.
start going down the road of it. It certainly is interesting. And our good friend, the late Ian Barton, was a big fan of that as well. His house was full of NASes. So there you go. Right, my last Ugreen on my Ugreen week is a little podcasting microphone which allows occasional podcasters to have a decent bit of audio going down the tubes. And it's a Ugreen one, and it's a cardioid condenser thingy, and it looks like it's fairly simple, and it's reduced from £37 to 24. And if you are an occasional podcaster, I think that's actually quite a good bargain, and it does review quite well. And it's got lights and buttons and stuff if you want to play around with it. But yeah, I didn't realise that Ugreen made USB microphones, but they do, and it's reduced.
Oh, right, okay. Do they have a line of them or something, or is this the only one they do?
Don't
I
know.
haven't known them to do them either.
No, I
It's
don't
got
know.
an infinite rotary knob on the bottom,
Ooh.
which I have that on the one I use with my work computer, and every time they say you're a bit quiet, I'm looking at it going, which way do I turn it again? Lefty loosey, righty tighty, and I can never remember which way I turn it to put up the volume, because it's just something I kind of panic about. But
This one's
it's
got
very
this
handy to have.
this one's got plus and minus on it, so you can't go wrong.
Oh yes, okay. I wonder if that applies to mine. But it doesn't have a 3.5 millimeter hole on it, does it?
Um,
I don't think it
I, to be honest, I find that those 3.5 millimeter holes, I never use them. I don't feel the need to use them. I'm not quite sure why you would, to hear your voice through the microphone. Because I'm always plugged into the computer. So when I have had microphones with a 3.5 millimeter, I've just never put anything in it.
It's just occurred to me that perhaps that volume knob on the bottom is actually for headphones that are attached to. I don't know. No, it looks very nice. It's got RGB and it's got a mute button on the top,
Yeah.
and it looks very nice.
Yeah. I think it is. And like I say, for someone, we were talking about this on one of our other podcasts with some of the guys who just pop in occasionally. And, for £24, you can certainly hike the quality of your voice over any, phone or whatever. So I just think that for £24, it's worth thinking about. That's all. That's all.
I also think that having a microphone gives people an awful lot more confidence when they're talking, because you're talking into something. You're not
Right.
talking to a computer screen. You're talking into a physical item that's right in front of you, and it makes you feel a wee bit more disc jockey-esque or something like that, or your point is valid. I feel that as well. I feel so confident in front of a microphone, but whenever I'm standing in front of a room full of people and having to talk without a microphone, I'm like, oh, I have to rely on my own notes and biting my nails. So, moving on, the next exciting installment of Bargain Basement, and the last one, is a little cheap tablet from Honor, and it's the Honor Pad X7 that's been reduced from £100 on Amazon down to $79.99. It's got a 90Hz eye comfort display, 64GB of storage, a 7020 milliamp hour battery, Snapdragon 8 core set. Doesn't say which one, though. I might say it further on down, but I didn't read into that. It's only got 4GB of RAM, but for light sofa browsing or whatever, 4GB is okay. It's a slim metal body. It's got AI call noise cancellation. It runs Android 15, but I imagine that's probably going to be upgraded to Android 16 because Honor are pretty good at doing that. It's a decent enough looking little tablet with a 7-inch display, isn't it? No, 8.7-inch display, which is 1340 by 800.
Certainly a nice size. It's a nice little size. We were talking last week about dinky tablets. Certainly not. A bit concerned with the 64GB of internal storage, but having said that, it has got a micro SD card slot, so you can put a card into it. And frankly, I was talking to my dad, my 89-year-old dad, yesterday about his tablet, and frankly, he wouldn't even use 64GB. He uses his tablet exactly for the same thing that you just described. Really, someone on the sofa surfing around websites and using it as a book reader, a Kindle or whatever, and he wouldn't use even 64GB. But anyway, yeah, if anyone wants more storage, there is a card slot as well. This is coming with Magic OS 9, and I think you're right. You could expect it probably to be upgraded to Magic OS 10 and Android 16, but probably not beyond that.
Yeah. But it'll do for elderly or a kid or something like that, or just a second tablet if you need one in a different room. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
Grand. Well, that brings us to the end. If you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can also find us on Twitter at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I'm also on Mastodon and Blue Sky, and I have my GarethMiles.com. Ted, where can they find you?
As usual, I'm at tedsalmon.com, and if not, I'm at MeWe. But all the links to the audio podcasts and all the MeWe groups are at tedsalmon.com, so you can't go wrong. And my final shout always is that if you would like to give me a copy for the stuff I do, you can do that. It's at paypal.me/tedsalmon, and I will be forever grateful for your support, you lovely people.
Wonderful. I suggest people do that because he has to tolerate me on a Sunday morning. And what could be worse than that? All right, well, we'll catch up with you next week, and have a lovely week. Enjoy the rain, snow, sunshine, whatever it is you happen to be dabbling with. And we'll give you a weather report next week for whatever has happened to us. Bye.
Goodbye.